we're still pretty fresh into the new year, so, out of grace and letting bygones be bygones, I think we could give all of our notable gaming companies that make up the current gaming world a fresh new start to do better on some new year, new me type shit. You see, last year, we all pretty much just got raw dogged with the worst of the worst when it came to gaming practices. We faced things like heavy microtransactions, unfinished games, the same games. Then there was even Redfall, which somehow existed. It was bad, I can't even lie, but I'm willing to give these $1 million for nothing companies a clean slate for 2024 to do something amazing with these new games. And I might be delusional like the folks who thought that the day before would be any more than it was, but what can I say? I got a big heart. However, even if a person like me is just willing to, let these studios get away with a pass for all their past mistakes, that doesn't mean that these companies care enough to, take that kind of opportunity. We're only 3 days out in the new year and somebody already dropped the fucking ball. I swear I can't make this up. Luckily, this time, the controversy isn't on the side of the players or public community, and more on the whole business and negotiation side of gaming. That whole suit and tie corporate aspect that we think of, but with a player favorite game company of Sony. Now, I'm pretty sure we all know who Sony is, they're the guys behind PlayStation, they make some cameras, some TV, a couple of mid-Marvel movies, the usual. And they're pretty much a staple in the gaming community as we know it, really only comparable in size with the likes of Microsoft and Nintendo. Huge player base. And as you'd expect, with their PlayStation consoles, they have their own hardware and accessory lines to go with those consoles. Things like the Sony DualShock, which is their line of OEM controllers. But right now we're on the sexy piece of plastic known as the DualSense controller for the PS5, but this current issue has to do instead with the previous generation of hardware being the DualShock 4 on the PlayStation 4. You see, it was revealed that a French regulator named that, which I'm never going to attempt because I don't feel like embarrassing myself, but I'll shorten it to Concurrence, has fined Sony over 13 million euros or over $14 million US for bad practices over third-party controllers. Now, when I say third-party controllers, I mean the ones that are outside of PlayStation's official licensing agreements like Ori, I'm talking about the ones you'll find at a discount GameStop section that looks fresh out of a Temu workshop. But basically, in this fine, the French regulators claim that Sony was purposely sabotaging controllers outside of the company's sphere in two main ways. The first way was by apparently having some sort of code to make the third-party controller disconnect when players try to do system updates, basically forcing them to use a licensed controller just to navigate the update. Meaning if you didn't use something official to get in the update screen, you were pretty much out of luck with keeping your console to the latest version. Now, me personally, I don't know how often the scenario plays out to where your original DualShock is just broken and you're somehow stuck with a really bad Fugazi, especially with how many other cheap or pre-owned controllers out there to buy. But hey man, what do I know? I can't even say auto So that's the first reason, but the other reason that they had, which was more serious, is the fact that Sony was way more difficult with these, third-party companies when they try to reach out for the program criteria to stop the controllers from being disconnected in updates, claiming that Sony was just really being picky and choosy with who they did business with, obviously within their whole, sanctioned sphere of controller companies. And this whole situation has led to an antitrust investigation that's been going on for years now, and Sony is now being held accountable with a pretty hefty fine to start off the new year. It's basically their prelude into the tax season. Now, as unfortunate, I guess this is for Sony and people involved, the real question that, arrived from all this happening to me really is that, what's gonna happen for the future of all third-party controllers going forward? You see, if Sony can catch the sharp end of the sword for just trying to diss this third-party company hardware, then, it's only a matter of time before Microsoft faces a similar consequence, because just last year, they announced a new change where the majority of Xbox third-party controllers will no longer be supported unless they're a part of Microsoft's exclusive program, something I talked about in the video that, you should check out. And it's not only Microsoft, there's been countless examples of other companies making similar moves on unofficial accessories to draw players away from the enticing lower prices that the third-party companies are usually offering. So how this pans out for the future of third-party controllers is gonna be hella interesting to see. And I mean, when you look at it from a person trying to save money's perspective, I guess this is sort of a W for these controllers. We can't act like we never owned one of those see-through specialties. But that's the current situation for Sony and the French regulator. Sony hasn't issued a statement about it yet, so we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds for Sony and its controllers. So what do you guys think about PlayStation and these controllers, man? Feel free to comment down below. So if you like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one.